Hello and welcome to episode 22 of chapter 1. We're already off topic. 3 women, 1 podcast, and we will all be sending Sinlin Yu our therapy bills after this book. I'm Mary.
I'm Catherine.
I'm Elizabeth.
And today we are diving into the final chapters of Alchemised, along with giving our final star rating and our review of this book. But first, what are we having tonight?
Well, I kind of slacked this week, so we have a little bit of a variety. I have stale birthday cake from Christopher's birthday party. We have also funeral food. We have cinnamon crunch cake and
I have
pie.
a pecan pie.
And we also, if this isn't enough, my French toast from yesterday's breakfast.
Which y'all, this is fantastic.
Which is very good.
The bar, remember, the bar is set at Corona and Reese's Pieces.
The bar's about to get lower, y'all.
And,
Go ahead.
and then for tea, we were having a caramel brown sugar cinnamon
Yeah, super.
black tea. And it is very
Okay.
yummy.
My bar is apparently in hell. I have no snacks. I've had no time. There's not a snack to be had up in here.
Like some French toast.
I also didn't even make any tea. I felt like this book deserved a drink.
Good job. Good choice.
So, this is a long recap, folks. Mary may be drunk by the end of the podcast. We'll just see how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm like, someone should have told me. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, as always, we have a shit ton to cover, so we are just going to get the ball rolling. We ended last week with Cain being upset about the deal Helena made with Crowther to protect him. And now they both basically made these deals to protect each other. But they end up spending the night together and just constantly worrying about each other's safety all the time. So then we dive back into chapter 62 to finish these chapters up. And we open to the news of the Undying's alliance with Hevgoss that has happened, is now spreading. And that news creates stress and pressure amongst the Eternal Flames leadership because very few of them actually know what's going on kind of behind the scenes and what's being done to make all of these things happen for them. Everything for them is just like, Saul will deliver, Saul will make it happen. So like Crowther and Helena know what's actually having to happen to make things progress in the war. And so a lot of that pressure is getting put on them because now they're wanting more obsidian weapons to help battle these extra militia members that the Undying now have. But that falls solely on Helena's shoulders, and not only just Helena's shoulders because of her use of vivimancy to create those weapons, but also it relies on the death of her friends and other resistance members. Like that's the only way to make those weapons is with the death energy. So in the meantime, Luke was encouraged to leave Palladia to also pursue diplomatic missions and secure their own alliances with some other countries. But he's refusing to leave at all. You know, he's a lead from the front kind of guy. And so he's like refusing to go. And instead, Matthias goes, which to me feels like the worst choice for a diplomatic mission.
Now, knowing what we know.
Now we know why he didn't want to go. But
Yeah. Because at the time I was like, you're dumb. But I'm like, actually, you're smart.
I do think, well, yeah, it's dumb. But Luke also, before that, had made several kind of dumb decisions in the guise of, you know, I want to be with the people, you know. And so it made sense for his character without it being super, like, obvious that, like, something was wrong. But it does make sense later why he's like, nope, not leaving.
I got so pissed at Luke, and then in these chapters was like, Luke!
Don't go, Luke!
Because in Manacled,
There's room on the raft!
old Harry Potter was like, nope, that's just him because he's a jerk. There was no...
Those last moments with Luke, and I know we're going to get there, but I was like, just ripped my heart out. I was like, I've been mad at you this whole time.
It wasn't even your fault.
I think that was part of the emotional part of it too, was that you'd been so angry with him, and then you're like, oh, there he is. Because the whole time I'm like, why is she so devoted to this asshole? And then you see it, and you're like, oh, well, that sucks.
When he walked, you know what? I'm going to save it. We'll get there. I just finished this book today, you guys, okay? So it's still
very fresh for you. It's very right here.
You thought.
I'm like, let's skip ahead.
We've already spent it.
So as soon as Matthias leaves, the resistance ends up readying for like a big old battle. But with troops thinning and no time for training, they're recruiting anybody. Men, women, elderly, children. And yet they don't have time to train them. They have no weapons. They have no armor. Like, they're just sending them out for slaughter. It's a giant suicide mission, but they're sacrificing their own people for it. So Helena is obviously just irate because she's like, you're willing to send all of these people to die before you're willing to even consider using necromancy on people who are willing to basically donate their bodies as shields for you. And she just can't comprehend that, how they're willing to just kill off and allow knowing what's going to happen to those people. So everyone is just hoping for a miracle. Saul's going to come through. And knowing that none is coming, that in the past, all the miracles they think are miracles was someone pulling some kind of strings or doing something. Helena decides she wants to make a bomb. And she asks Cain to help deliver the bomb. Cain he agrees to deliver the bomb, but he does not want her to touch it. Which makes sense, considering how he just found her post-bombing, giant piece of shrapnel in her chest. Like he's got a little trauma.
PTSD from that.
Yeah.
It's a little fresh.
So she actually, for once, does not get, I mean, she's a little stubborn, but she actually agrees to not bring the bomb, but that means Shizio has to bring the bomb.
Shizio. That's later. That's later. That reaction is later.
No, nothing happens. Well, these people should know.
These people should know. They read the whole thing. We all know stuff happens, okay? Stuff happens. So, readying for the attack, they hope that this attack is going to be the attack that ends the war. Cain and Helena discuss what's going to come after. Cain talks of them running away together, but Helena actually hints that she's just going to have to stay behind and do something. Like, he's going to have to wait. Like, it'll be a bit. She'll join him later. And Cain is pretty, like, he's upset by that because he's figuring out that she does not plan, if this is the end of the war, and they actually have a chance to finally get away together and escape, that she's going to stay behind and help, and that something will probably happen to her. And so he reminds her that these are the people she's saying she's going to stay behind and help after the war, that they sold her to him and that he owns her now. You're mine. A lot of you're mine again. And, which, fair, you know? So Shizio ends up delivering the bomb, and Helena is afterwards, she's kind of afraid she's going to somehow get arrested, be tied to this bomb making, you know, or the after effects of this happening. And so she further ends up kind of enchanting her ring so it's not visible and it can't be seen, but she can still feel it and use it. And so it's hidden completely. She goes to visit Lila, and Lila ends up admitting that Luke knows about the pregnancy, which it's, you know, the way it's written, it's like a little red alarm goes off in Helena's mind. You don't know what it is yet, but Helena's like, no. So she knows something's wrong. And you know, as a reader, something's wrong. You're just not sure what yet. And so she ends up going in search of him, and she finds Elaine coming out of his room with like this tray loaded with meds. And she's looking at the meds, and she's like, you can't give him all of these things. Like, he shouldn't need any of this. Like, you're going to kill him. And Elaine, being Elaine, is like, I know what I'm doing.
I'm his healer.
Yeah.
For a hot minute, I thought that she was the traitor. Because I was like, Moreau brought her in to, like, specifically, like, be there. Like, I was like, something's going on with her. But turns out she's just dumb. She's just dumb.
And probably, like, I don't know what the right word is for it. Like, conceited, I guess. Like, she so believes in her own ability, even though her ability's not that great. So she's just like, I can do what I want. I'm the healer. So then we go into chapter 63. Pace tells her that Luke is suffering from brain fevers and often screams, get him out, which Helena makes sure she specifies that he's saying, get him out.
Also, that's not, like, alarming anybody, given the people that they're fighting against. Like,
given where they got him out of when they rescued him?
I'm like, not one person is like, you know what, that's strange.
I think they thought it was strange, but I don't think they thought that
it was
because I don't think they thought that was even possible.
I also
Because
so
animancy was not really a thing. Vivimancy they knew about. I don't think they knew that animancy was even a thing, much less what Moreau did. That's my thought. I'm trying to give them credit.
Well, and I also think
you know-
desperate people will believe desperate things.
mean,
Luke is that's their like mascot. That's their talisman. Without him, the war, I think a lot of them feel there is no war because
And
they
who would
associate him
have-
almost with a gift from God.
Right.
And they're so religious that without that, they have nothing.
And who wouldn't have a little PTSD from being splayed open while still awake, kind of drowsy? Like, get him out. Oh, yeah, you're fine. You're closed now. No one's
He's
inside
out.
you.
He's out. Don't worry about it.
No.
We're fine.
Everything's
Get your armor on,
fine.
honey.
It's fine. But yeah, so I'm just trying to give them
But
the
people
benefit of the
need
doubt. They didn't know that was even possible.
I
They
do
knew what to
think
look for.
if the eternal flame had been around, like if they were set in a time period that wasn't the 1700s, like say we were in the time of, I don't know, now with social media, they would very much be just the meme with like the fire going on in the background. And they're like, everything's fine. It's going great.
This is obviously no big deal. Clearly.
Just do what
So the
Elaine
bomb-
did. Dope them up.
Which is apparently that was the thing when he was
That's what we do.
when he was like they kept drugging me, so I was fine. It was they were drugging him, so it was helpful, and I was like, that's gone.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, she's the one, but then
No.
who it ended up being made more sense.
Elaine was like that little kid on.
Okay, but who it
The
ended up
Simpsons.
being,
I know.
I knew she was coming back. We all knew she was coming back and she was going to be a problem. But honestly, 100%, I thought the traitor was what we're getting ready to discuss, which was Moreau. Because he's now in, like he's got access to all this now. So
Well, I mean, he was
like,
in a way, but like he wasn't there to let people into headquarters.
yeah.
So I was
So-
like, who did that?
Yeah. So the bomb goes off, and the resistance quickly is like Victory Day, which there's several times we've talked about Bennett's lab giving very much Nazi Germany. There's a lot of things that mirror World War II in this world building she's done and in the war she's created, because just like Victory Day was like one. There's several times towards the very end, even in the epilogue, where you get things that happened like post World War II, where they were trying to hide what was actually happening in the concentration camps. They tried to cover that up for a long time, and I felt like you kind of see some of that. But almost immediately after that, headquarters is attacked, which is shocking because that has never happened before. Headquarters is supposed to be considered super secure, and so no one understands how this could have happened, because the information must have been leaked by a very high level spy with a lot of information about all the inner circle things. And so no one can figure out how this is happening, and it's kind of a shock for everybody. Meanwhile, Luke comes back from battle. Helena pulls him aside. He wants nothing to do with her, but she convinces him to talk to her by using Lila as an excuse, saying it's something to do with Lila. And he panics and is like, yeah, let's go. She drags Sebastian with because he's injured, and she's like, I can heal him too. I think she just wanted a witness. I'm not sure. But she brings Sebastian
I
with.
think she wanted a witness.
Like, she wanted someone else other than her who's not considered trustworthy within the Eternal Flame to know. And Sebastian helped her cover up what was happening at the rescue and her necromancy. So I feel like that's the one person she felt she could trust. So they end up going to have this kind of meeting. And Helena starts to question Luke about the baby in front of Sebastian. Sebastian knows nothing about the baby and is just immediately like, what have you done? Like, he knows something's up. And he's directing it at, like, Luke. And then she starts questioning him about brain fevers. And it's like, would you know anybody who's experiencing this, Luke? And Luke's like, nope. And Sebastian just, like, all the color drains from his face. And he's just like, uh-oh. Because the only people who get these brain fevers are leeches. And he's like, and apparently Luke is having these brain fevers. So she goes over all of his inconsistent behavior and basically kind of spells it out for him, especially with Lila, and that he's not doing all the things that Luke would have done to protect Lila, because Lila was his everything. He literally turned himself over to the Undying to protect Lila, and yet she's pregnant with his child, and he's keeping her there at the headquarters instead of sending her off to another country where she'd be safe, which is what Luke would have done, along with a whole list of other things. And he's letting Helena treat Lila, even though he says he doesn't trust Helena. And so there's just a lot of inconsistencies in his behavior. And Sebastian starts staring at Luke just in complete horror. Like it's registering. The dots are connecting. And she asks who he is. And like Luke just has this huge shift.
Me.
Just the curtains have dropped. And he says he's Cetus, which was the original. He's not even Moreau, which he is Moreau. It's a lot to take in, folks, but Moreau
It's
is
very
the original.
Tom Riddle's diary. You know what I mean?
Moreau is the original High Necromancer, whose name was Cetus. And they're one and the same. Moreau was not a new necromancer. He is the original High Necromancer. He has come back.
necromancer.
That shocked me. I don't know why. I wasn't
expecting that.
I wasn't expecting
I was like,
that.
okay.
When he said Cetus, I was like, is he just like playing her? Like what?
So I'll be honest, through the rest of the book, they kind of bounce around from Moreau to Cetus to High Necromancer. We're just going to stick with Moreau because it's what we know. But he is the necromancer.
He's the big bad.
We also discover that he's distantly related to Luke, which is why he wanted all those like organs of Luke's.
Because of Orion.
So the High Necromancer, Cetus, and Orion were brothers, and they both wanted to be gods because people who have a lot of power always somehow want to be gods.
Farron just killed me with that too when he was like, so this is just like a brotherly spat that like everyone's dying for, basically. And I'm like, yeah,
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And Luke is still alive in that body. That's his body. He's alive. He's in it. But it's almost like a parasite. They kind of describe it as like a shadow in the back of his mind is what Moreau is. He's just occupying it. And so if she kills him, she's not going to kill Moreau or the High Necromancer. She's just going to kill Luke. So she realizes Moreau is dying though through all of these conversations with him because that's why he was harvesting basically body parts. And that's why it took a couple rereads for me to actually catch and figure out that the baby it is Luke's baby because it was Luke's body. It's Luke's semen. But it happened when Moreau had control of the body. So technically,
That
it's
hurt
like the
me.
high. Yeah.
That hurt me. When Luke, well, you're getting ready to get there.
Lila's never gonna know.
When he was like, she thought it was me. She can't know. Like, I was absolutely gutted. Like, because you
never gonna
know
know.
that he was there. Like, Luke, like,
In the background, just like screaming probably.
like,
just like.
stop! You know, like, it just, that is just, that hurt
But
me.
he's just trying to create more of this bloodline. That's why he's impregnated her. So he can harvest and have a new body, because his body's dying. So he then attacks, like Moreau in Luke's body, attacks Sebastian and stabs him, kills him. And then he turns and attacks Helena. She begs for Luke to come out. Like she knows Luke's in there and she's begging for Luke to talk to her. Moreau kind of plays with her for a while and taunts her, telling her he's weak and denying his true power, which is animancy, which she's surprised that Luke has animancy. She didn't even know that. But in the meantime, Moreau is actually trying to telling Helena how talented she is. Like she's the one who created the obsidian weapons and she has animancy. If they joined forces, the things that they could do. And it's just kind of constantly taunting her. Luke finally is able to kind of come out and he talks to her and he tells her to run and that Moreau's going to kill her. And he tells her that Moreau killed Ilva, which explains why she was suddenly sick and then she just died. And while she's begging Luke to try to let her find a way to save him, he starts begging her to just kill him. And he begs her not to tell Lila that it wasn't him who impregnated her, that she can never know. So Helena ends up stabbing Luke when the necromancer is able to slip back through and he attacks her. And instincts kick in. She just defends herself. She ends up stabbing him. And so Luke is alive, but he's bleeding out. He's back. Luke's back. She's trying to heal him. Everything's chaos. And Luke actually has her use her necromancy and bring back Sebastian. And he's just desperate to save her at this point. And he gets Sebastian to help they can't be seen there. He has Sebastian help drag them out into an alley by the towers, out of sight. And as he's dying, you kind of go through where him and Helena are talking. And you finally get these snippets of Luke and who he actually was that you never got to actually see. And you see why Helena was so devoted to him. Because he did love her, you know, as like platonic friends. But like they loved each other, they cared about each other. And I think he genuinely was a good person, just unprepared for the realities of what this war was and been lied to his whole life. They were all told all these, you know, all of these things that he believed, because that's what was passed down, was that all of these things happened because the gods gifted these things, and if you did all these right things, these things will happen. And he believed all of that because that's what he was always told. And so, yeah, that was...
Honestly, though, so much of that scene was awful. Like, when they're talking before she raises Sebastian, and, like, he's having to tell her, like, I've been dead for months. Like, that was horrible. And then when he tells her to get Sebastian up, and she's like shocked, right? And then he goes like, what did he say? You've always done the worst things because of me. And I was like, because you could tell like that he feels guilty, and like you see what we haven't seen, like you said. And it was just it was awful. And then the fact that he was literally dying, but he's able to go out there and keep his head high, like he's just...
You get to see the leader. So throughout the book, you get to see this leader that is making these... You're seeing him from Helena's point of view of making all these dumb mistakes, not using common sense, not thinking with his brain. And you're kind of irritated with him. And now you're seeing the leader like the good leader. The one who's standing up for his people, who's trying to do the right thing, who's trying to protect his people and the people he loves, and what he's willing to do for them. I'm going to cry.
It was horrible.
It was so bad.
This was horrible. I was reading this just like... I was sitting here at the table, Christopher was doing math, and I'm trying to read this. It was horrible. It was horrible.
Okay, I can't cry. I'm going to look like a raccoon. So,
Moving on.
we get into chapter 64.
You're like, I'm getting... I'm starting to sweat.
I'm just going to drink some more. So, we get into chapter 64. Helena's rushing from the scene. She's trying to get back to Lila. And she ends up running into an Undying dressed in all black. And she, like, goes unconscious. Like, he grabs her head and she goes unconscious. When she wakes, it's Cain. Because, you know, Cain always comes for her.
Of course, this time I was a little pissed about it. Because I was like, she was doing something.
But then he tells her that the war is over and that the Undying have taken over the city. She tells him what happened with Luke. He's ready. He's like, let's get out. I'm getting you out. I'm getting you out of Palladia. But she insists she's only going to go if Lila goes with, because at this point now she feels obligated to Luke that she has to take care of Lila and she has to take care of that baby. Cain finally agrees to get Lila out because Helena's not going to go unless Lila goes with. But he refuses to let Helena help in any way and makes her promise to stay in the suite, which ends up being the suite of the, I still can't pronounce it, Hevgosian ambassador.
And for the longest time, honestly, I was over here like, is Hevgos a person or a place? Is it both?
Well, I knew it's a place, but I'm like, Hevgos I can pronounce. Hevgosian?
For some reason, it wasn't until I say something like Hevgosian where I'm like, oh, Hevgos the country. And
I'm gonna say, anytime I read fantasy, you know, you're reading in your head. It makes some people, not all people I know, I've learned, but like some people, I hear a voice in my head. Like there's a narrator. As I'm reading, it's reading out loud to me in my brain. There is a voice.
But you also have your thoughts.
Yes.
Like you're reading.
Some people don't have that voice. I don't know how that works. They're just like reading with their eyes.
I don't know how to read without that.
There's also like a movie playing in my head as well. But there is a narration voice. The narration voice is fantastic. She can pronounce every word flawlessly. But apparently when my mouth has to make those words, it just fails.
My narrator is not that good. It should be like, have go, have ge.
Like sometimes she just skips stuff. She's like, you know what? Big H. Moving on.
Yeah, for sure.
The heavy ambassador.
So he returns with Lila, but Helena can tell something's wrong. Something's clearly wrong. And Cain admits that he's blown his cover. And so she convinces Cain that if she's leaving, she needs to relay everything to Shizio, all of her research, everything. She needs to get with Shizio. Cain does agree to this. She starts to convince him, she's using all of the things she knows will hurt him. Because he's just like, I want to get you out. And she's like, you always knew I would choose everything before you. Like, I will choose the eternal flame every time before you. Which is just killing Cain.
It's also a lie.
Like, she convinces him that, and in the meantime, she's like, hey, well, your plan is to use your chimera to fly us. She can't fly all of us at once. You go ahead and take Lila while I relay all this information to Shizio. She is manipulating the crap out of this situation. And you know what? She's smart as hell. But also, damn it, girl. I mean, I'm glad she did it, but also, damn it. And so
The way that I was panicking, I'm reading it, and she's got flour. Like, I was over here like, is it at least all purpose? Like, this whole thing that's getting ready to happen had me in
So she's guaranteeing that Lila's getting out
yay.
and protecting Lila.
Love
She's
that.
giving herself time. And in the meantime, Kane makes her promise not to leave that room. She lies, says, I'm not going anywhere.
She breaks a lot of promises.
Oh, he calls her
She
out.
makes a lot of promises and then proceeds.
Kane later has some lines
has that
where he's just like, you were the worst promise keeper ever.
And it's true.
true.
She's like, I promise. Pinky swear.
Maybe.
Half-made bombs just in the back. Don't focus on the negative. Don't focus.
So with Shizio's help, she ends up making just a crap ton of bombs. And in the meantime, she leaves her obsidian knife. She doesn't want to leave Kane with nothing. So she leaves her obsidian knife on top of a note in which she tells Kane how much she loves him. And for the first time ever, because she's never told him that she loves him, for the first time ever, she tells him that she loves him in this note.
Like, I love you through text message. I love you, but I'm about to break up because I'm about to set off a bomb.
Because I'm
Yeah.
setting off a ton of bombs.
And a text message.
It gets worse. Hang on to your hats. Because, so then Shizio admits who he actually really is. Because remember way back, he was like explaining how he knew about all the different metals from these other countries. And she's like, how could you know all that? And he was like, I don't know, I travel a lot. Come to find out, he is like the emperor's brother. And so he
Ew.
tries to convince her to let him go. Because even if he gets caught, they won't kill him because he's the emperor's brother. Like, they might take him, but they're not going to kill him. But she's like, I have to use necromancy to plant all these bombs. You can't go. It can only be me. And so she's the one who goes. So she slips away. She climbs out the window. And she leaves. And then we climb into chapter 65. Helena runs into Ivy and Crowther, who is dead. Crowther is not alive. And he's like a leech. Necrothal, something dead. And Ivy, yeah, Ivy says the necromancer has Sophia. Helena runs into Ivy and Crowther. Crowther's very dead. Helena asks Ivy like what she's doing, why she's there, and Ivy says that the necromancer has her sister Sophia, who, as we know, was with Helena on the rescue mission and was killed. She was swept away underwater. And that the necromancer would only give her back to Ivy if Ivy gave the necromancer headquarters and Crowther. So she did. And Helena's just like, girl, your sister's dead. Like, dead. And just can't comprehend. But I told you guys before, I know, like, we kind of joke about Ivy a little bit, and she comes up again later, and she kind of keeps coming up a couple of times throughout the end of the story.
She comes
But,
up in a really kick-butt way.
She does. I felt like Ivy, because when we first meet Ivy, she's, like, doing some bad shit, right? Like, she's taking part in some torture, and she just seems very disconnected. And I said even then, she's a child, though. Like, a child doesn't do these things unless something bad has happened to them. Like, I feel like she's, and you realize in the scene just how, like, broken I feel like Ivy is. Like, she's the dots aren't connecting for her. Like, she is very broken, just deep down. And all she cares, everything, I think her whole world, like, for Helena, her whole world is Cain or Luke. But, like, for Ivy, her whole world was her sister. And her sister, she doesn't know how to operate outside of that. Everything she's done has been for her sister. She was working with Crowther for that. And now she's done this treasonous act in this effort to save her sister. And you can't tell me Cain wouldn't have done the same thing for Helena.
If he thought
Like,
she was alive, yeah.
Yeah. So, no hard feelings, Ivy. So, Helena goes, she ends up planting, she uses necromancers, she plants the bombs, and then she tries to escape. As she's trying to escape, she runs into, the bombs go off, she runs into Lancaster and Althorn, Althorn was a general with the Resistance. He's now also a leech, which we later realize that it's actually Atreus, which is Cain's father. So they grab her to interrogate her on who bombed the lab, which I was kind of like, you know what? Boys Club. Why couldn't she have bombed the lab? Why were you immediately like, we're going to grab you? Who did it? You tell us. And I'm like, why couldn't it have been her? Is it because she's a girl?
She's just a little healer.
So that's where she ends up getting in a fight to try to escape them. And she stabs Althorn, and that's where she realizes that it's Atreus, Cain's father. And she doesn't want Cain to she like comes to the realization of who he is, and then she also comes to the realization that at some point someone's going to have to kill Atreus, and she doesn't want it to have to be Cain because of how he already has to do all these horrible things, and she can't imagine what it would be like to have to kill your own father. So she's like, I'm going to do it. She doesn't, because she gets knocked over the head by Lancaster, and she gets knocked out. And so the aspirants that Lancaster has with drags her away. She wakes up in a cage, and Pace is trying to heal her as best she can. Around them are all of these resistance members. Some of them are in other cages all around them. Others are out. They're in the commons area of the alchemy tower, and there's a bunch of them being like strung up and tortured in various ways, and just there's descriptions of like various horrific things being done to them, both while alive and then also after they die.
This is hands down the most gruesome part I think that I read for me. Like
I still think Helena's attack by Blackthorn was rougher for me than this. Maybe it's just because I wasn't so attached to some of the characters that this was happening to.
The Titus thing.
Yes. And Rhea was rough because she was still alive. Titus was at least dead.
But he was eating her skin.
He was dead.
Like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, literally, Rhea was having to watch her husband eat her alive. Like,
It's pretty bad.
that's pretty bad. Like, it's just gruesome.
Yeah.
I was reading it and I was like, my God. Like, I was...
But, okay, so, I don't know. You guys have read some... Elizabeth, I know, reads horror. So, but when you're reading horror, occasionally things get thrown in, I feel like. Both in, like, dark fantasy, dark romance, horror especially, where it feels like it's thrown in just for the gore or the shock value. This could have very easily turned into, I'm throwing this in for shock value, and yet it never felt
But it
that
didn't
way.
feel that way.
It felt emotional because through the whole thing, she had this, like, she loved Rhea and she loved Titus, and she felt this, like, responsibility over Titus. And, like, then to see that not only, because it was in the same cage, right? Because Rhea and Titus were in the cage with others, and in that cage you also saw just dangling limbs and torso and, like, stuff like that. And I'm like, Rhea had to watch him do that. Like, it was, because these weren't random people. Like, I was reading that and I was like, I just feel like we didn't need that. I feel like I didn't need that. It was horrible. Sorry.
You're fine.
Horrible.
So then
I was
she
just
see-
like, the plot's plotting. It tracks. We're tracking here. So-
let's just slice off this lady's skin. And then he's like covered in, there's like sticks and crap sticking out of him. Oh gosh, it sucks. And then poor Pace, just all of it. I just didn't love this scene at all.
At the end, she's going to be like, 5 stars.
Go ahead.
So then she sees Luke approaching Moreau, and which again, we know, Helena knows. Helena's one of the only one there who knows that Luke is dead because she killed him. And we know that Luke is dead. But everyone else has seen their leader, Luke, the leader of the whole resistance, approach Moreau and beg for immortality in front of all of them. And Moreau then just claims he is not worthy and then kills him in front of everybody.
Again.
And then, like, has his body hauled off and told to be kept, said he'll never burn and wants to keep his body. I don't know what that was about. But anyways. Oh, I think, was that the religion? They had to burn the bodies for them to go to the afterlife?
Yeah.
That makes sense now.
That was a respectful thing that they did.
Took
And
me
he
a
was
minute.
like, I'm not going to respect your body.
Which you were occupying his body for like months. Show a little respect.
Yeah, but they don't know that, except for Helena.
So the prisoners are then separated into groups. So they're separated into, like, I don't know the groups. You only know the Cole group. And so Helena and Pace are put in this Cole group, which is basically you're going to be killed. And Mandel finds her, which we remember from the first part 1, and a little bit of part 2, because
Of the torture.
he kills her in part 1 because she's discovered to be the one who put her in stasis, and then kind of harasses her afterwards with Stroud a little bit. And then in part 2, we find out that Mandel had a little bit of a grudge because Helena was used to interrogate her, and she used resonance, her animancy on her to look into her thoughts. And so, but Mandel finds her, and this is where she takes her revenge for that. So she pulls her from the Cole group. Meanwhile, Pace, again, this is where you really see some of the goodness in some of the characters. Because Pace, all along, we've really liked her. And again, she's just advocating for these people. She's like, Helena has all these skills. She can be useful. You don't have to kill all these people. You can put them to use, like, trying to help anybody she can. And Mandel pulls her out. Someone stops her and is like, hey, that one I think needed to be interrogated. We were supposed to pull her for interrogation. Mandel doesn't want her interrogated because she knows she's not going to get her hands on her. Meanwhile, Helena's panicking because she's like, oh, if I ever get interrogated, they're going to find out about Cain because they're going to use animancy. And so that starts her thought process of, I need to hide these memories. I need to transmute these memories and push them away, which she's already learned to do because she had to hide Soren's memories so it didn't drive her insane. So she's already learned how to do that from Soren, which is why she could never remember Soren in part 1. That's where she starts doing that. And they've already got the first cuffs on her, like the original kind of cuffs on her, but she still has some resonance. She, in her inner monologue, she's explaining that she doesn't need all of her resonance. She just needs a little, and she needs a lot of patience is all she needs to hide those memories away. And then she gets put in stasis, and she watches as Mandel throws out her paperwork, and she knows that at this point no one's ever going to find her. No one will know who she is. And then at the end of that chapter, while she's in stasis and in this darkness, her ring starts burning. And yet she's already started to push those memories away, so she can't really remember why her ring is burning, but she knows her ring is burning. And so in the back of her mind, she's also like, someone's coming for me.
And Pace died, which was also sad. And then she didn't. Oh.
Hope you don't have any favorite characters.
So then, immediately after that,
including Helena and Cain, let's be honest.
So immediately after that, we go back and we go into part 3, which just shoots us back into the present in chapter 66, where Helena is waking up back in where we were in part 1. And she's trying to reconcile all these memories that she's getting flooding back in, and then the man that she knows now as the High Reeve who killed all these people, who raped her, who is responsible for the deaths of every remaining resistance member.
Father of her kid.
And she's quickly putting pieces together. Even with her, her memories are broken. Like she's got her memories, but they're kind of like split and fractured and broken. And in the meantime, she's got what she knows now. And she's realizing that the killing of Mandel and all the deaths of all those hidden resistance members, that everything that's happened, all the deaths of the Undying, all of that was Cain. But she also thinks he killed Lila because, the reports were that, I think it was maybe when she was first woken back up out of stasis and she was held in like a cell, someone told her that like Lila was the first they brought back. So she thinks that Lila is dead, but he says it was all a trick and that he got Lila out and she's alive and she's safe, and kind of describes it as like Lila hates him and always, every time he goes to visit her, he's like trying to attack her, and she's like, that's on brand for her, so like that tracks. She asks why he killed everyone, and he explains that he was looking for her. It was the only way that he could leave because Moreau gave him his little bone so he could travel, and the only way he could do that was to hunt down every remaining resistance member, and that was the only chance he had to look for her, and that if he failed, he would have been reassigned, and so he wouldn't have been able to find her. And then he tells her that the room they are in is safe and that they're okay, but that Moreau has eyes everywhere else, eyes kind of all over the property, and they have to be careful when they're out. And then Cain is also insistent on that he's going to get her out of there. Like, now that she has her memories, she's got to go. And that he's going to take, the plan all along was she needed to get to Lila. She promised Luke she was going to take care of Lila. And so he's going to get her out of there and to Lila. But is very vague about everything else. All the other plans. The plans for himself, the plans for Palladia, the plans for Moreau. And the only thing she gets is he assures her that there is sort of a plan and that Moreau is weakening and that, they're going to take advantage of that. So in chapter 67, Helena understands Cain's paranoia with her now because she remembers that she tricked him at the end, and that basically he's never going to trust her again. And he understands why he was constantly using his resonance to look into her thoughts and her plans, because he underestimated her once before and he believed her. And she went missing for 14 months. Can you imagine, like, the love of your life just missing 14 months? You have no idea what is happening with them and, like, what he went through.
And then finding out he was still, like, sending stuff to the house, and he didn't even know if she was alive.
I
He just
know.
thought she'd like it. I was like, that's so sad. It's sweet.
But she also, during this time, starts to realize that not only is she pretty certain that Cain is lying to her, but also that he's managing her and just trying to keep her calm and occupied until it's time to go. And Cain ends up taking her to a library because he knows that's something she would enjoy. But she refuses to go inside, claiming it's dark and she's afraid of the darkness. Because again, she knows this is just another way he's trying to, like, manage her, preoccupy her, take up her time, and just kind of keep her side quested until he can get rid of her. Helena grills him on his plan and knows, like, kind of figures out that he plans to kill himself in order to kill Moreau. So every time Cain gets vulnerable, he's mean. Like, that's just what he does. And so he becomes very, like, mean to her and like, says a lot of cruel things. But then he finally, like, kind of gives in, and his whole body language just sags. And he says, I hoped the library would keep you busy for at least a week. And then on page 867, you guys can read.
Wait, you mean 876? I was like, oh, crap.
876, yeah.
Okay, so he says, do you have a better solution for us this time, too? He asked quietly. After all, not every single horror that I've ever imagined has happened to you yet. Losing you and spending 14 months trying and failing to find you, finally getting you back, tortured and broken, keeping you prisoner, the transference, raping you. His voice was growing raw with grief and rage. He had gone white, that scalding, gleaming white. Is this not enough? There are undoubtedly still unexplored depths to the potential misery between us. Shall we endeavor to achieve all of it?
Facts. He ain't wrong. I get his feelings on that.
And
I
like,
do.
honestly, even when this is like way later, but when like she was trying and he was just like, Helena, I'm tired. And I was like,
Yeah.
like
I feel that. I don't know how he does it. Sometimes Helena gets on my freaking nerves. Like, I understand.
I feel them both, though, because she's
desperate.
she's desperate because she knows he's going to get her out, but then he's going to die.
He's always done all the saving, and she doesn't give herself enough credit because he would have been gone. I mean, she really.
There comes a point later, I don't remember where it is, I think it's in the final chapters, where she says we have to stop hurting each other to save each other type thing.
Yeah.
Or hurting ourselves to save each other. It's like the only way they're going to survive. And I think that's probably the most accurate representation of them, is they just keep destroying themselves to save one another, and how heartbreaking it is for the other one to see that happen over and over and over again.
It's kind of a toxic relationship.
But it's so beautiful.
But it's also toxic.
But it's beautiful.
But it's also very self-sacrificing, and it shows like the idea of like dying to self to, save someone else, or to, give someone else a life that they wanted them to have, and like things like that. And it's an incredibly, like,
And I think for both
the
of them,
devotion is unmatched. I mean,
yeah. And I think honestly for both of them, neither one of them felt like they had a future or a life after the war.
boy, I
So-
didn't see that.
And
Like,
so
whoa.
Well, they're both so broken. Like, they don't have anything to look forward to. Like, they're just so broken with everything they've been through.
Because neither one of they were always like, well, when this is over, and it was always just like this pipe dream, that they were going to actually get away. Mm-hmm. Neither one of them actually thought it was going to happen.
So after Cain's traumatic speech, Cain says that he knew she would never choose him over everyone else, in which she screams at him that she lied the whole time. Like, that she lied, it was always him. Cain says they have a long goodbye ahead and doesn't want to fight, but Helena gets him to agree to her research in order to try to save him. and makes him promise not to lie anymore. And so we enter into chapter 68, and Cain's hand just keeps spasming, which Helena's hand spasms too, but Cain's has started like it's been spasming. She asks him why he's not, like, he used to heal and regenerate, and he's not healing anymore. And apparently there's so few Undying left that Moreau is pulling so much from the remaining that he can't really heal like the way he used to, and the spasms just keep coming. They don't touch on it a lot, but I feel like some of it's just some of the torture he's been through. A lot of torture. She doesn't really get into it a ton, but like there's hints at it all the time. He's constantly like, I learned how to do all these unspeakable acts because they were done to me. You know, he hints at it. You just don't get the visceral, like, explicit description of it happening to him. But like that, from a teenager on up to whenever this is, he's been just physically broken over and over and over again. So I'm sure that has to do with it too. But Cain says he wished that he'd lied to her back when he told her that when he rescued Lila, and he said that he'd outed himself as a spy and just gotten her out. And she admits that it would have killed her when she learned the truth, and that she would do it all over again and suffer through all of it again just to save him. And Cain says that she never saved them, that all she did was put them through hell for 2 years, which was really hard to read. And then Helena replies that he never should have assumed that she would be willing to lose him, and that she promised him always, and that there was no expiration date on always. They end up sleeping together, but not like sleeping together. They just like fall asleep side by side, and he's like holding her hand. And the next morning he ends up removing those nolium rods that like run through her wrists, but he has to leave the manacles on, so it looks like she still has her manacles on, but she gets her resonance back. But he tells her that he's going to have to put them back in. Like,
I wonder if that hurts.
I don't know.
To reinsert. You know what I mean?
Anytime I think about it, it gives me like
the heebie-jeebies?
Yes. I feel like it would hurt. Later when she's talking to her daughter, there's like scars there. So I don't know if, since it was like kind of open for so long, I don't know, but I
like the ear.
Yeah, like an ear piercing, you know, like you don't feel that. It just kind of goes in.
It goes and you can wipe.
I love like Enid. She's just like, why you got holes in your hands? No one.
I mean, she's a toddler. It's a very toddler thing to be like.
Yeah.
Like, girl, what's that?
That'd be Noah. What's wrong with your hands?
My grandpa had false teeth, and he would always.
If you could just stop
take them
crying.
out, and I would be fascinated when I was a child. Like, why could your teeth do that?
Ah, from the mouths of babes.
So Helena begins her research. Cain offers to get her what's required for an abortion. And while she does understand where he's coming from with that, she tells him that she actually wants the baby. They end up kind of fighting because Cain's just trying to convince her that she doesn't actually want this, that she could have a life after this, that she could have, if she wants a baby, she could have a baby with someone else, and all of these things. And she finally ends up admitting how much she loves him, and she ends up kissing him. And Cain kisses her back and says, I love you. You left and I'd never gotten to tell you. It was really sad. And then Stroud ends up coming back. He has to take the nolium rods out whenever Stroud's around, so he has to take those out. And she kind of describes how once she has her resonance and then he takes those out, she feels really empty. But when Stroud's there, she informs them that they're having a girl. And then we get into chapter 69, in which Stroud is a girl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I think that the reason is because you end up finding out that Moreau, I guess because Moreau's a dude. I don't know, but like because isn't he supposed to be like taking this body or whatever?
Oh, yeah, I guess I can see.
Yeah,
but she's
Stroud
like
was
pissed that the baby's a girl because they wanted a male. And I'm like,
for Moreau
the
to
audacity.
Yeah, I mean,
I was like,
they
a
were
body's
still,
a
like-
body.
I mean,
Well,
they were
Moreau
still
was still
like,
gonna get
he's
in
gonna
it.
do it, but she
But
said that he
he'll
would be
leave
like,
the girl.
yeah, he said that he like wouldn't be pleased or whatever.
Well, she
Whatever.
was pretty irritated about it too. Cain was the one over there like, does it matter? Like, he's dying. It's fine. Like, whatever.
Like, I feel like a body's a body at this point.
Yeah. So with the knowledge of the
Also,
gender,
ew, 'cause it's a baby. That's what I
Helen is becoming like, it's like, oh, it's a baby now. Like, that's a person. And meanwhile, Cain is very indifferent to said child. But Helena starts to become kind of like possessive and protective of the child. And she starts doing things that are good for the baby. She's like, I'm going to go for walks and I'm going to start eating well and I'm going to take care of it. After Stroud leaves, Kane removes her Nolium rods again. They end up going for a walk together. And he starts telling her stories of his childhood. And he talks about his mom and how his mother's name was Enid. Helena realizes as he's talking that when she was trying to convince him why she wanted the baby before and they were having their talk, she was talking about all these things she wanted to be able to tell the baby about him, and he kind of had blown her off. But now she's realizing that I'm gonna cry.
It's so bad. She's realizing, hold on, that he's giving her things to tell the baby about him because he doesn't think he's going to be there. And it's
So he's giving her stories to tell. But she, in the meantime, decides that a good name for the baby would be Enid.
and that is a good name.
It is a good name. So Shizio is to take her. Kane tells her that Shizio is supposed to take her her to Lila in less than a month, which gives her not a lot of time left with Kane. And she decides she wants to spend like as much time with Kane as she can, and she wants to try to have sex with him again. He refuses right away. He's like, no, absolutely not. But the next night they're kissing, and he kind of becomes more passionate in his kissing, and he's starting to cave. But then he has to leave for several days, and when he comes back, he finally gives in. But as they're starting to have sex, she panics, and she tells him to stop, which he does immediately. And she tries to recover. She's like, okay, now that I know, I can tell you to stop, and you'll stop. Everything's fine. But he's like, he's done. He's not going to continue. And again, we're going back to she's doing more research. She realizes that the array that was in that torture chamber with the cage that's in Spirefell, that holds importance because Moreau created that array. And so she wants to go study that. She goes into the cage room and she's trying to copy that same array, and she ends up passing out. Kane finds her just collapsed in that torture chamber where his mother was tortured and is super distraught and really upset with her and tries to get her to quit doing the research. Meanwhile, Helena's like, I'm on to something. I think I've got it, right? I'm getting closer. I know how I can save you. And he's yelling at her that he can't be saved. She needs to just let it go. And she's mad because she's like, because he's like, you can't get everything you want. And she's like, I never get everything I want. I always have to choose, and I never get to choose you. All I want is to choose Kane, and she never gets to choose him. So he reminds her that if the research that she made a promise that if the research compromised her health, that she would quit. And she argues that she's really close, and that's where he tells her that she's just the worst promise keeper ever that he's ever met. I will say, we said from the prologue that Helena struck us as resilient, and girl, don't give up. She's like a dog with a bone. She is not stopping.
Man, even when she is dying, I mean, it's just, you see her, and even you see these things where he's like, are you okay to do this? And she's not, but she's like, yes. And
keep going.
Doesn't matter. She's doing it. And it's so tragic. Just, and very honorable. Maybe he should ask her more realistic promises.
So we read a lot of fantasy where you get these badass female main characters that are out there just wielding swords, wielding magic, wielding stuff, killing people, super cool. And I feel like Helena has a different kind of strength that you don't see a ton in fantasy novels, where her strength just it's her strength of character. It's the person that she is. She's not technically that strong. In fact, a lot of times she sort of sucks at any sort of combat.
Well,
She's smart, but even in her cleverness, she is very smart and she stands out in that way. But it's because of who she is as a person that makes her strong.
her alchemy skills puts her at a level above so many others, but she holds it back. She holds herself back. I feel like she could have been the one to defeat Moreau if she just would have learned how to use her magic and learned how to do things, outside of being a healer. Because, girl has talent, and she's smart enough to figure out how to manipulate, how to change things. Basically alchemy. But yeah, that's where she's different than the other fantasy characters. They go out, they train, they learn, and they're like, hey, look at me, I'm Aelin from Throne of Glass, and they just go out and kick butt and do that. And she doesn't. I think her strength, like you said, is holding back and letting others kind of shine in that way.
So Cain tells her that the next day that she has, well, one, they come to a compromise that she can continue her research, but he kind of like stays with her. Like he escorts her everywhere she needs to go, all that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, he tells her that the next day that she's going to have to stay in because Aurelia's returning and they're going to have a party at Spirefell. So, which I think apparently his job in this party, the whole party is so that way he is to like, because shit's going downhill, right? Like Moreau's not doing well, but he's like,
morale is low.
Right. He's there to be like, everything's fine. It's great. Okay. So in chapter 70, Stroud shows up without warning into Helena's room and is like, let's go. You're going to the party, bitch.
The baby announcement.
She's like, like,
here's your
sheer
baby
clothes.
shower.
She's like, show off the bump. And of course, Helena's like emaciated and has no bump. She's like,
would you like me to go naked?
but yeah, so she wants to take Helena downstairs. Cain's pissed. Cain's always pissed at Stroud. But like, Cain's obviously irritated because he doesn't want her anywhere near any of these people. And Stroud's going to parade Helena down in front of all of these people and show off this pregnancy and announce that the baby is Moreau's new body.
But you know, I thought it was funny because because she
I
didn't
love
have a
how
bump.
they all laugh at her.
She didn't have a bump, so they Stroud has her shove some clothes up her dress.
Yeah, they're like, she
I'm like,
creates
if
like
I
some
was
weird-
at that party, I'd be like, she ain't pregnant. She's got clothes up there. I was like, look how lumpy that is. Call her out. I'm like, how are you gonna take one of these, roll it
gonna
up?
do it.
Look, here's Moreau's new body. Emaciated woman. What do we think? Do
be
you feel
lies.
better? I feel better.
I was like, if she's so pregnant, why is she faking it?
Man, I want to know, like, Stroud, like, when they act like she's, like, this super smart whatever, and that she...
But they really don't, because Cain calls her a dumbass so
Yeah,
much. He's
really,
like,
she-
no,
you're
what I
right.
mean, like, even, like, what I mean is later, like, when you find out, like, the, like, Havgosian, whatever, like, they had, like, taken her in because of her, like, experiments and things like that. Like,
but I think she was taking all of Bennett's work.
Bennett's
and claiming
right,
it as her
but,
own.
like, people treat her as valuable, I guess. Like,
Right.
in certain, that's what I mean, in, like, certain areas, right? Everyone else knows that she's dumb, but for someone who's treated that way, like, she literally acts like, I'm like, in what universe did you feel like doing this was gonna warrant that response? Like, I imagine no situation where these people would have been like, got it.
But this was her. I think this is very much this was because this was her program. So she's like, look at what I've done. I've saved it all.
Yo, she's
I've done
just
it.
the mirror image of Elaine on the other side. Like,
kinda is,
Helena
yes,
is the good
smart.
side. The Bennett is Helena's mirror.
Look at
And
Elizabeth getting deep
I
with
feel
it.
like... yeah, you see where I'm going with
Helena's
this.
Catherine and I are over here just like, oh my God, it's so
Elaine
Bennett
and
was
Stroud
a
are hand in
freaking
hand.
psycho. The best part of that freaking bomb was that he went up too. I love that they weren't like ceremonious with it. You know, it was just this like little thing. Like Bennett was trapped too, and I'm like, he deserves no mention. It's just like he's on.
Bye.
Right. Like, hey, that guy, the worst. The only thing that guy did right was Amaris. And honestly,
Well, and
if
he
it wasn't
kind
for
of wasn't.
Cain, then
He kind of didn't do it right because Maris had a lot of problems.
They all had problems because he was. So Bennett, when he created the chimeras, that's where they were talking about. He only wanted them to be aesthetically pleasing. And Cain, I think through Helena,
is what
realized
kept Maris alive.
how to keep him alive. Which that freaking destroys me later. I mean, it ends up okay, but like, oh my God.
I know y'all are over
When
here
he kept-
crying over like the baby and crying over that. It was embarrassed for me, y'all.
I cried during
I
that.
cried
I
over
was like,
Amaris
no.
too. When he was
I'm just over here. I'm out here crying with Cain in the stable with him, with her.
just having Amaris in his lap. I was like, oh no. And he's like, I've killed all these people, but like an animal is just
I
gonna stop
would
me. And
have,
I'm like,
if
well,
she would have killed off Maris, if he would have, I would have thrown the book across the room and said, Deanna. Like, I ain't even lied. I would have said, Deanna, screw that.
and how much of Amaris?
You cannot do the animals like that. You cannot.
When Amaris would get so excited to see the baby, and it would be, sorry, go ahead. We're not there yet.
So, Aurelia somehow just now realizes that Helena's baby is Kane's.
In front of everybody.
In front of everybody. And then everybody's laughing at Aurelia, which pisses her off, and she kicks everybody out. Which is
Honestly, that's valid.
And it's the first time Kane agrees with her. He's like, yep, everybody out. And he like threatens everybody, which Stroud's kind of mad about it. She's like, you were supposed to like smooth everything over and like it was supposed to be a party. And he's like, these people don't respond to that. They only respond to fear and intimidation. So like, whatever. Bye. Helena sees Ivy and Sophia leaving the party. And Ivy's looking at Helena and is like looking very confused before she leaves. Atreus gets in a fight with Kane and is talking about how he's angry at Kane that he's failed his tasks. And now those tasks have fallen to him to complete. And Helena ends up guessing accurately that those failed tasks are that Kane was supposed to hunt down the last member of the Eternal Flame and the killer of all these Undying and the people. And now, which that killer is Kane. So now Atreus, Kane's father, has been tasked with finding that killer, which is his son.
Surprise!
It is. Just, I just love how it just came out.
Short up.
Yeah. like seeing his face, like, what? You're lying.
I will say, you don't like Atreus, even towards the end, but I do have there is some sympathy for Atreus.
Because he loved
Kane. He loved his wife, actually. I'm not even sure he loved Kane. I think he just loved Kane as a product of his wife. But
because Helena even points that out. She was like, you can't be your father. You can't just love me like your father loved Enid. You have to love her.
Yeah.
So,
Are you having French toast sticks? Are you eating some French toast sticks?
Yeah.
Honestly, it sounds amazing.
From a bag.
I'm like, you know what sounds great with all this wine? A carb.
Mary needs some bread.
Would you like a French toast cake? You haven't even finished your cake.
Is there coconut in there?
Do you not like coconut? Are you allergic?
No, I don't like it. It's a texture thing.
I would have had a
You and my husband both. I love a
coconut
coconut cake. It's the cake. It's what Dwight made me for my birthday because everyone in my family hates coconut.
But you know, I can do coconut shrimp, and I'll tell you why. Because it's fried, but also you have that mango sauce, and so you don't actually taste the coconut because of all the other things that are happening.
My husband likes coconut. Like he'll drink a pina colada.
So it's together, and there's shrimp.
He doesn't mind coconut flavor. He doesn't like it's the texture. He just doesn't like the texture.
Because you're just too well. To be fair, it said cinnamon. It said coffee cake.
It's cinnamon crunch. And
cinnamon.
There's coconut in that?
At Christopher's party. My brother-in-law had some at Christopher's party, and he's like, "Is there coconut in this?" And I was like, "What?" And so I looked at the ingredients, and it did.
And I was like,
but then I forgot.
I should have brought it home. I would have ate it.
Yeah, well, you know, I was like, you said it was a coffee cake. And I'm like, I'm all for a coffee cake. And
I love a coffee cake.
It's ruined.
So back to Alchemised.
Just add mayonnaise to it. Just top it off with some mayonnaise. That's how I feel about it. Because I don't like that either.
Now you ruined it.
See, I'm looking at that, and I'm just seeing mayonnaise.
There you go.
She'll never eat it again. It's going in the trash tonight.
I don't even know where they got that from.
Well, the bottom
It was like a Sam's Club Food Line situation.
No, the bottom part is fine. It's just the coconut is in the top.
Well, I've noticed you've taken.
I tried.
Avoided the.
I was like, we're done. We tried.
Would you like a French toast stick?
No, thank you. I'm good. I still have my tea.
It's gloriously dry because there's no syrup or anything on it.
It's also in a bag.
It's also in a bag. I don't know how else to. Anyway, go ahead, Barry.
I love it though.
I don't know what else to do.
Makes me
Okay,
feel
so
better.
back. Aurelia and Atreus have moved back into Spirefell. Like, you're the worst Airbnb residents ever.
Like, they're not like good roomies, you know? Mm-hmm. Because Aurelia's just mad because she is not pregnant, nor is he, like, trying to get her pregnant. And Atreus is like, let me just torture people, like, in the living room.
Yeah.
You know?
So Helena is continuing her research because she's constantly trying to save Kane. She tries to convince Kane to build a bomb, that between the two of them, they can build a bomb. And he's like, have you seen our hands? Because both of them have...
That part really hurt my feelings because he was trying to reason with her, and he like, oh my god, where is it? And he's like, which one of us has steady enough hands like to build the bomb or whatever? And it just like, I don't know. It literally from this point on, I was just a mess. Like, there's nothing that happened or was said that I was like, love it. Like, it was just, I mean, loved it, but like in a different way. Sorry, go ahead.
This is where Cain tells her he's tired. And he wants to be able...
You know, to be fair, Kay, I'm tired too. At this point in the book, as I'm reading it, I was tired too, Kay.
She came in here tonight and she told James, she said, I'm so glad this is the last.
But also 5 stars.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is easily going to be one of my top 5 reads of all time. But also, by the end, I was so happy for it to be over because I was so devastated.
I'm tired of being depressed.
I think I've only had one other book that made me this depressed, and that was 1984.
No.
1984. And both of them did the very, very similar reaction where it seemed like while I was reading those books, it like sucked all of the color out of my world. It's like everything turned to black and white. I don't even know how to describe it, but yeah. Anyway, so he tells her that he's tired and he just wants to be able to say goodbye to her, and which was devastating. But then they end up finally they're able to make love after all of the rape, all of the things that they've been through. They're finally able to have that together again. And then we go into chapter 71. Cain cycles back into Cain behavior, and he starts picking fights with her because he needs to be able to say goodbye to her. And so she wants to make it easier for both of them to say goodbye and to make leaving for her easier. And he's hoping he can make her hate him. She realizes that pretty quickly, and that once again, he's just trying to manage her. Ivy comes back to Spirefell, and she tells Helena that she wants to rescue her, that she's there to rescue her. Meanwhile, the doors, all those iron doors are starting to warp, which can only mean one thing, and that's that Cain is coming. And Helena warns Ivy that Cain is coming. And Ivy because she's like, why? Helena's like, why are you here? And Ivy is like, well, my sister wanted to be friends with you. She wanted me to be friends with you. My sister really liked you, and she would want this. She would want me to save you. She admits that she realizes that her sister is dead. But again, that poor girl is just so broken.
I also love that she busts in there like blades of glory, like whips back the
Zero plan. Just like, here I am. Let's go. I'm going to rescue you.
Get in, loser.
We're going shopping.
I love that. Like, she was just like, here I am.
You know, she truly moved the plot forward in a lot of ways. She caused basically the end of the war.
She's like she's very matter of fact. She's like, you were gonna die anyway. We were just gonna make this happen quickly.
Yep.
Ta-da! Like she's very just black and white.
Well, and again, I think when you've had unprecedented amounts of trauma in your life, you start to think in black and white, and that's sort of where she's at.
I also love, I know we haven't gotten there yet, how she just shows up with a whole freaking arm and just like she's like,
She really has moved the plot forward. I mean,
like, they should have found her way earlier, honestly, because I'm gonna be like, she's in a way the comic relief, because every time she shows up, I'm like, what are you doing?
So Cain does come. Okay, so like Cain warped that door from like God knows where, because that man's power is so freaking strong. Like, I don't even know how much power that man has, that he can like warp iron from wherever he's at. Cain comes for Helena to rescue her, but Ivy reminds Cain that they know each other. She's like, you probably wouldn't remember me. I would have looked different then, but I had pigtails and bows in my hair. And then Cain remembers. And so way back, it's such a small plot point, but it's when Cain's mother, it took me a little bit to put the pieces together, but like when Cain's mother sent him to the party and for the Undying, and there was a very small mention that like Cain didn't want to do something, like he didn't want to torture someone that was asked of him. He ended up getting tortured like a lot, and then he goes home and his mom finds him, and then his mom has the heart attack. This is that party, and that's Ivy's family, and Ivy's family's there. Her parents are dead. They've been reanimated. They're dragging the children, Sophia and Ivy, in there, and Cain was tasked with torturing the kids, and he ran away. And meanwhile, since Cain refused, Ivy tried to rescue her sister, and her sister was never right afterwards. And she kind of talks about how like her sister didn't like remember anything, but also wasn't like there. Ivy had to feed her. Ivy had to do things for her. Like her sister was just never right afterwards. Ivy's cleverer than we give her credit for, because Ivy starts putting pieces together and she realizes that Cain is the killer and Helena knows like a lot of what's happening and that this whole thing is just a big ruse. And Helena convinces Cain not to kill her because Cain's just like, it's a stray end, gotta take care of that. But Helena's like, I think Helena sees how broken she is and sees the good in her, and she convinces Ivy to help and to get Cain's bone from Moreau, which is not an easy task. It's not like she gave that girl like a simple thing. She was like, okay.
So I'm gonna need some flour from Walmart.
No, she was like, you know what? Fires of Mordor, bitch. Like, I need you to get in it.
I need you to bring me back the bone, aka the arm,
From Moreau's
body. Like, chop it off. I don't know if she expected her to chop it off.
I don't know what she expected.
I
I felt
wasn't
like this was
expecting it.
because this was a suicide mission, let's be honest. I don't know what she was expecting. You can ask her for help, you can hope for the best, but I wasn't expecting much.
I wasn't expecting an arm. Like, how'd you do that?
I don't know how Homegirl pulled it off, but like, good for her.
She used Sophia to do it. And I was like, aw. She like came to grips with the fact that Sophia wasn't alive. Like, I felt like that was like the moment.
It wasn't her.
Where it's like, this isn't her.
And Moreau
Well,
was like a blob.
and I think
at
this was her
point
righting all
anyway.
her wrongs.
So he's melting because he's dying. So he just probably had just the bones in his arm. Because everything else was like, bleh.
Cain ends
He was
up
just waiting on that little baby
He's
body.
decaying. Yeah, he's waiting on a baby body.
Which is giving Voldemort a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, like when he was in that one where he's like the back of the head. Just the back of a head.
A half-life. A cursed life.
Okay. So Cain takes Helena to meet with Amaris because they need to bond before she has to take Amaris to get away. And he tells her the plan, which is that her and Shizio are going to ride out together on Amaris. And then afterwards, she's to leave Amaris behind. And he explains that Amaris is the only surviving Chimera of the war and would be easily recognizable. So they can't keep her anywhere near them because they know where she's gonna, she's recognizable. They're gonna know immediately who she belongs with and who she is and what that represents. So
It was so sweet that she very much remembers you. Howled for half the day when you arrived.
But I hate that Amaris won't have like a companion. She's the only one.
she's the only
That makes
one.
me
But
sad.
she loves Cain and she loves Helena. She loves the baby.
She loves
That's her family. That's her found family.
And maybe she'll learn to love Cobalt.
What are you trying to create over there?
Oh, I don't mean like that. I just meant like they could be like little buddies. Like,
That could be her baby.
like a homeward bound situation,
Come
There
on,
you
could
go.
be her little child.
Yeah.
Little child puppy dog.
Yeah. Fox and the Hound, My
So
best
the wolf
friend.
chimera and the puppy.
So prisoners are being brought to Spirefell for Atreus to deal with. Like a lot of them.
Like 30.
Like a lot of them. Meanwhile, Aurelia is mad because the blood is ruining the house. It's just
That's fair.
doesn't go with her decor scheme.
Getting
They
on
end
her
up all
blood.
getting in a big spat. It's like Atreus, Cain, Aurelia. Helena's just there, but they're all in like a little spat over what's happening.
I love Cain just like egging it on. Mm-hmm. He's like, she doesn't like what we've done with the house.
And then Aurelia's like, I have been a perfect wife. And then compares herself to Enid, Atreus's wife and Cain's mother, in which she barely gets it out. It's like barely out of her mouth. And Atreus beheads her. Just dead. Gone. And Helena realizes real quick, Cain planned it all along. Because that was a loose thread he was tying up. And he's like, you didn't expect me to let her live, did you, after she attacked you?
Trying to take out your eyes, homie.
Yeah. He's like,
Eyes.
what are you thinking?
Did. Yeah, put it back
He
in.
had to put him.
But pretty much immediately afterward, Cain is called away by this weird, like, Stranger Things light situation that happens in the house. And he gets called away by
Surprise,
Moreau.
we're also in the upside down.
Feels like it.
He gets called away by Moreau. And when he returns like fast. Like, I can't remember. It's like maybe within the hour? I don't know. It was very fast. Because it's like only a couple paragraphs this ends up being. But he returns and he announces that the train was attacked and Shizio is dead. And then we go into chapter 72. And then it's
I hope you didn't
explained
like
that...
him.
Well, that was her
He's a good
escape
character,
route.
did.
Shizio was her out. Like, the plan is falling apart,
He was a good
y'all.
character. I liked him.
I love Shizzy.
I loved Shizio.
He was
but
willing
also-
to like go in her place to do these bombs. He did so much. Like he he like wanted to make sure he was the one that found her because like the manacles and stuff. He was very loyal to her,
Yeah.
and he didn't have to be. He was like what, nobility?
Yeah.
He's dead now.
Well, he's dead. And Novus, which is another country, who has joined that liberation, which is trying to like fight against Moreau and what Palladia has become. Novus attacked. They claimed it's the surviving members of the Eternal Flame, but both Cain and Helena know, like, none of those exist. Like, that doesn't exist anymore. Cain's pissed because it gives Moreau, like, the way Novus did this, it ends up giving Moreau time to retaliate, organize, whatever. And in the meantime, he can't refuse any orders. He knows he's going to end up getting called away, and he's just trying to get Helena out. So he is freaking out. The plan's going to shit. Everything's falling apart. Cain end up going back and forth between Moreau, doing all of Moreau's bidding, including he ends up having to slaughter a bunch of prisoners. When he gets back, he's like almost shell-shocked from that time. Helena finds him and he's just like not with it. And he's like talking about it's the most he's ever had to kill at one time. And he's very much not the Cain we know. And then one night, Helena hears, this was really sad because you realize how much Amaris is attached to Cain. Because she hears Amaris's wings coming down, that Amaris lands, and then doesn't really hear anything else. She starts to hear Amaris like cry and whine. And so she goes down to see what's wrong. And she finds Cain unconscious and like Amaris nudging him with her nose. She gets the servants to carry him inside to her room. When he becomes conscious again, he can't see. He's blind. He's able to explain that Moreau ripped out his heart, y'all. Which then he does have a funny line. He's like, I wish I could have told the Principate it's a bad way to go.
I think I owe the Principate a Principate of apology. Terrible way to go.
Yeah, I did giggle. It's like the only time in these sets of chapters I like found humor. And then also he apparently did something to his spine, but he can't see, and he's got a lot wrong with him. Helena's doing the best she can to try to heal him and recover him, but it's all because of, he says it's punishment for for following the orders. He said, I guess I should have refused the orders. Like at this point, it's a catch-22. No matter what he does, he's getting punished. Because Hevgos learned about the slaughter of all the prisoners that Moreau ordered him to do and was disgusted by that and now left the alliance with Moreau and has now joined the Liberation Front. And Moreau is blaming for that because he did slaughter all those prisoners that he was ordered to do. Like, bro can't catch a break.
He can't.
No.
It's sad.
So in chapter 73, Cain is kind of recovered. Not really. He can see, like sort of fuzzy. But he ends up leaving. Helena's watching them out the window, and she sees Atreus and Cain getting in a fight before he flies off. The minute Amaris leaves with Cain, Atreus turns and stares up at Helena in the window. And then Atreus comes to her door and is trying to get in. But he doesn't have iron, like resonance in the body that he's in because he's in Crowther's body. But Crowther has pyromancy, and he has somehow gotten to use that. He's learned how to use that pyromancy resonance, and he sets the room on fire.
I don't feel like that super makes sense, but... Because, technically Crowther's dead, right? So...
But that resonance is still there because it's in the body, I guess. He was taught how to use it. I think it was a gift. Was it a gift from Moreau? I don't remember. It explains it a little bit.
Just feels...
But I mean, alchemy is alchemy, and we know that there's like maths to it because Helena not having the pyro type of alchemy could help Luke study. Like, hey, this is what you need to know for your test to make your fun little alchemy thing really happen. And he just does it because it's natural to him. But she's like, yeah, he's using a little more energy than he should. There's like a nuance to it. So I feel like that tracks with Crowther. Well, not Crowther being, this gets confusing when people are in other people's bodies. But it's kind of like if I were to get in your body, I would still have all your thoughts and your experiences. I would know how to cook.
You could bake. We could animate her. We could reanimate her. So Atreus sets her room on fire. He gets in there and because he's able to like melt into the, I don't know, melt into the room or something. He ends up torturing her with fire too because he's trying to get information out of her. He's torturing her, trying to find out who like the last member of the Eternal Flame is and who the spy was. He also remembers her from the lab and knows that Cain is like weirdly attached to her. She kind of realizes through all of this that Atreus is really desperate to find out who the killer is because that Moreau, like if he doesn't find the killer, that Moreau is going to kill Cain. So he's doing this strictly to protect his son. And she tells him that Cain is a spy and that she was his handler and Cain is the killer, which he doesn't fully believe her, but then she also continues to tell him like that his wife was tortured and all the things that happened to his wife because she knows that's what he cares about the most was Enid. And again, he doesn't believe her, so she uses that animancy and that resonance and she forces those memories into him and he sees all of it, all of those things, including things she doesn't even mean to show him, but he sees everything. And then Cain comes for her because Cain always comes for her. And then we go into chapter 74. Atreus realizes everything Cain is doing is to save Helena and tells him it's a waste of time. And it's a waste of himself. Ivy comes back, bone in hand.
I got it!
A whole arm. Meanwhile,
You know what? I thought she was crazy. Towards the end here, she might be one of my favorites, honestly. Like, I just love that. Rolls up, I got it! Like, with like a freaking arm. Like, I just can't get any better than that.
Save the day.
Save the day. She also, ruined the day. But then she turned around and saved it. She came back around.
she did. And then she sacrificed herself at the end. So,
Love it.
So another one that you love.
dead. Everybody's dead.
Everybody's dead.
So Atreus saw in her memories they need
way to like, what is it they say? Like, describe your job without telling us what it is. I feel like you could like describe this book without telling us what it is. Be like, everybody's dead.
And you loved it. But also it hurts.
Ow, guys.
Hurt people, hurt people.
Hurt people, hurt people. Hurt people.
The end.
Everybody's dead.
Atreus saw in her memories they need a willing sacrifice for Cain to save him, and so he offers himself. And again, I told you I hate Atreus, but also at the end, I don't love Atreus, but I start to have a little sympathy for him. Because
Well, I love just like, what? You're not even gonna ask me?
Yeah. Helena is able to perform that transference, but barely. Like, it's a mess. Like, oh, that was a rough scene.
It was.
She barely is able to pull Cain through. He's weak, but alive. Helena tells Atreus no one can know about the array or Cain being alive. And she knows that Atreus, for all his faults, is going to protect Cain. So he tells her to save Cain, and as they're flying away, she loads up Cain on Amaris. As they're flying away, Firefell is set on fire. In chapter 75, Cain and Helena fly away on Amaris. They end up at a hunting cottage, just like in the middle of nowhere. Helena warns Cain he has to be careful. No vivimancy, no animancy, just nothing that can strain his vitality because, like, he's human now. Like, nothing's like what it was. And she's really concerned because this is a man who went about, everything was instinctual for him. He was so talented and he had so much power, and she's afraid he's gonna kill himself, basically, on accident. And nothing can strain that vitality because it's gonna kill him. Despite being free, Helena is also just suffering chronic panic attacks, which I very much resonate with. And she's just constantly worried that, again, despite them being free, that something's going to happen. Something always happens. Everything goes wrong. Nothing goes right for them. So she just is waiting for the next ball to drop. Waking, she realizes one night that, because again, she'd been tortured by Atreus over and over, including just her back was burned really bad. She wakes one time and she realizes her back doesn't hurt and that Cain has freaking healed her. And she's mad because he wasn't supposed to use any of his power. And so she's yelling at him because he's healed her. Of course, he's like, I can't see you in pain. I can't look at you in pain and not help you. And she makes him promise that they're going to stop hurting themselves for each other. It's the only way they can survive. They end up flying over the sea and they land at a cottage outside of some small village, and the door flings open and there's Lila. And then we go into chapter 76, which Lila sobs, super excited to see Helena, immediately attacks Cain.
like, I get the hostility towards Cain, but in a way, I don't. I'm like, does she know everything? Because I'm like, I feel like if you knew everything, you'd be like, oh, like, I don't know. But actually, I take that back because these people didn't even want to use necromancy for.
That's a lot of it. She's been part of that group. They're just given one story over and over again. And Cain's giving her another story, but he's the enemy. She's been trained and taught that he is the enemy. So she doesn't believe him or trust him no matter what he says.
Yeah.
And he's like done all these horrible things and blah 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 and like, but like he did all the horrible things, a lot of it at the request of the eternal flame that she just didn't know.
Yeah,
like,
And he tries to tell her that. He's explaining everything to her. He's trying to show her. He brought her papers. He tries to show her everything. But I think for her, it's just hard for her to trust and believe in him with everything that she knows and has been told all along.
And you gotta give her some time.
apparently like a decade.
It's kind of like Hitler coming to you and be like, but I did it for love. And you're just kind of like, did you though? You know, that's how
It was.
In her eyes, that's what she saw Cain as, you know? It has to, she doesn't really know Cain.
I did find it interesting, like when, like later on, she was like, people make jokes about Moreau, but you know who they never joke about? The High Reeve. And I'm like, because she was like, I'm gonna go clear his name, and she's like, prob's not.
Yeah, because she does make peace. Like, especially I think having Helena there and be like, no, you don't know all of it. Let me tell you. And knowing Helena and knowing her trustworthiness and things like that. Obviously, she turns over a new leaf. She understands Cain better, but
I
feel like
love
it's
when
still
they train together.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even after that, she tries to convince, we'll get into it, but she tries to convince Helena to go with her. And she's like,
To leave.
Cain is so cold towards anybody that's not Helena or Enid. Like, she's like, I don't think you see him for who he is. And she's like, I see exactly for who he is. I created this. Like, this is.
Well, I also love, like, she's like, he's literally the reason why you and I are alive. And she's like, wanting to object to that. It like says it, and I'm like, what are the objections? Like, you would be dead. Your baby would be dead. Anyway, but in her mind, but honestly, in her mind, she was like, if we were gonna die, it would be like what was supposed to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like that'd probably be anyway.
It's a lot of mental gymnastics.
Yeah.
To excuse everything.
So Helena tries to protect Cain. She tells Lila that if she hurts him, she'll never forgive her. They leave again. They go to another small island. Helena meets Apollo, or Pole, for the first time, which is Luke and Lila's child. Cain dyes his hair black to help hide his identity, which is how it was when she first met Cain. Helena notices that Cain keeps disappearing into the stable for a while, and she finds him, and that's where he's holding Amaris's head in his lap and is like trying to contemplate whether or not he should just put her down out of kindness. Helena ends up convincing him to turn Amaris loose and just
Thank goodness.
give her a chance at life.
Yes.
She can't see putting him down and she can also tell how much Cain is attached to Amaris and how much it would hurt him to have to kill her. And all he does is kill. Like, that's everything he's ever had to do is kill things. So he ends up doing that. He ends up releasing her. He kind of makes some kind of offhand comment to Helena about how her like kindness is gonna come back to them one day or something. I don't remember.
I don't care. Page 981, I would have DNF'd if he would have done it. I would have been like, no, I ain't finishing. I'm done.
Someday your mercy is going to have consequences.
So traveling again. They travel a lot. They're kind of bouncing around, trying to, again, they're just trying to hide, escape, get away. They're traveling again, and they run across a news article that Cain is dead and that the Eternal Flame banners have risen again as countries unite against Palladia. At the final house that they reach, which is their kind of final destination, Helena realizes all this time Cain has been setting it up for her. And he's been sending stuff to her that, even though he doesn't even know she's alive, he's sending stuff that he thinks she'll enjoy, that would make her happy, and creating a life for her after the war that he always wanted for her, which was really sad.
It was so sweet.
Amaris ends up finding them. That brought me joy.
That's what I cried about. over the ocean and the sea. That is what brought me so much joy. It's like the best part of the book was the reunion.
I love that. Like, freaking Kane goes to sleep for 2 weeks, wakes up, Amaris. Hey, girl. I love it. I also love that she gets there and it's almost like she's acting sheepish. Like she knows that like she wasn't really supposed to. Because she like, what is it? She immediately dropped to her belly and crawled across the ground to him. And I was like, that was too cute.
It's too cute. I did like when they first arrived, and I think it was an accurate representation of like how exhausting everything has been for them, because they just sleep for almost weeks.
It's 2
Kind
weeks.
of on and off, especially Kane. Mm-hmm. Like, she pretends to sleep. She like pretends she's exhausted. She's like, oh no, I'm still tired, and will stay in bed just so he'll sleep because of everything they've been through. And I think that's like accurate. You don't realize how draining stuff is on you
Until you
and
don't have it.
Yeah.
Well, we're
So-
following Helena through this whole thing, but I think if you looked just like objectively at what each went through, his was probably a much greater toll. Really,
Yeah.
like not to diminish hers because hers was insane, but I think if you really looked at it,
Well,
like
you know-
Yeah, I would.
He got
I
it.
think a POV of Kane might be even more devastating than Helena's,
it'd
because
be
this is
horrible.
all told from Helena's point of view. I can't even imagine. Can you imagine just those 14 months of not being able to find the person you're so in love with and
Horrible.
not knowing what's happening to them and all the things that you can imagine is happening to them? I can't even. It's no. But so Kane, so Kane starts flying Amaris at night because that's when it's safest. And that's what brings him joy. Like, all of these things. Helena's like, he's done all of these things. He pretends to be interested in her work and these things just because it's for her. But Amaris brings Kane joy. Meanwhile, Kane still seems very unattached to the actual pregnancy and the baby, and she makes him promise that he has to care about the baby. He can't be like his father, who just loved Enid. And then Kane was like sort of this aftermath of Enid, that he has to love them both. And in Helena's mind, when she's describing that she's going to be gone and that she needs somebody to love Enid as much as she would. So again, she's still planning her own death in her mind. But Helena ends up having the baby, and the baby has her hair and Kane's eyes. And then we go into chapter 77. Kane is super afraid to be anywhere near the baby. The baby, in his mind, is just a product of his rape of Helena, which is terrifying. And then all he can think of is that everything he touches dies. All he's good at is killing. He doesn't want to be anywhere near it. Helena insists that Kane has to be near the baby and be okay. And as soon as Enid wraps her little hands around Kane's finger, he's gone. He's just like, she describes it as like a possessive obsession, but you know he's like,
Adoration.
yeah, he's a girl dad. He's
He's a girl dad.
and he's just as obsessed with his daughter as he is with Helena. And they name her Enid Rose. So Enid's from Kane's mother. And then he calls her a rose in a graveyard. So Enid Rose Farron. Enid and Pole become...
Helena wrote her.
Wow. Like, I get it, but at the same time, I'm like...
She's like, I get it, but isn't it toxic?
So Enid and Pole become very fast friends. Pole is proficient in pyromancy, and Enid is very good at healing and also vivimancy. And both, are like, I want to be warriors when I grow up, which I can't even imagine. Like, they kind of gloss over that, but as parents who just came out of war, can you imagine? And when both your kids are like, I want to be warriors.
I bet freaking Lila was like, let's go.
Lila probably was, and I'm sure Helena and Kane are like traumatized, or like, no. The papers that they keep seeing upset Helena because they're praising everyone, all these other countries, for stepping in. And she knows these countries did not care less when everyone else was suffering, and everything that they went through, they were not there for them. They start to speak of some of the horrors that were happening, but they don't talk about the things that were too terrible to print, including what was going on with the repopulation program. And they're encouraged to quickly resolve that and very quietly resolve that. And the women were told to basically move on in the guise of, we don't want them to have to be subject to suffering and reliving that trauma by going through testifying at a trial, But what it really was is they were like, hysterical mothers aren't going to be believed anyway. Out of anything in the book, that was like the thing that pissed me off the most. I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, I know this happens, but also.
No, I feel that.
I just want to be like, Mary, were you a hysterical mother?
No.
Like I would be.
I
Were you a hysterical mother?
like when I was giving birth.
I don't know. Like, what does that even mean? Like, what does that even
I mean, yeah, there was a point. I mean,
Have I
probably
been
still a point.
hysterical before? Sure.
I think when you
feel
become
like
a
the
parent,
reactions are
you
quite
like do
beautiful.
have this point where you like would sacrifice yourself for your child. But like also, these were victims of so many crimes and atrocities that were done to them. To just chalk them up as to women being hysterical was bullshit. And it was just them trying to sweep it under a rug.
And that's what she thinks of that.
She's like, well, it's fine.
Sorry.
I mean, but it's like, I will
No,
say
I agree. They shouldn't have done that. That's
But you know, with as heavy
like with
as
most things that happened in this book. They shouldn't have done that.
But you know, when we get to this point in the book, with everything that has happened, you're just like, I mean, what's new?
Makes sense.
Like, everything's tracking to be
Everyone
more
has
depressing
sucked thus far,
than
and they're
it
going to
was
continue.
before.
this.
It's just, it tracks.
I think of all of, I mean, like, there's a lot of bad shit that happens in this whole book. There's
He's over here like,
stuff.
listen, I can take necromancy, but don't you call that mama hysterical. You raise that guy from the dead and make him beg for immortality in front of everybody. You have that guy cut off his own wife's skin and eat it because he's dead while she's alive. Fine. Don't
But
you call that mama
My
hysterical.
thing is, all of those people, I mean, those atrocities needed to be called out too, and they needed to be talked about. But also the fact that these women were still alive, and they had to deal with the consequences and live with that for the rest of their life, and they're just being told to move on.
You know, and you see that in modern times. You see that in real life. I mean, that's probably, I mean, it does hit close to home because you see that just all the time with where, you know, well, do you really want to go through all of that? You know, it's like, maybe I do.
Maybe I do. If it demands justice to happen.
Right.
So Lila is also upset during this time as she's getting the news because they're erasing a lot of the history of like the eternal flame and the resistance and all that was done, and she decides she wants to go back. She also, Moreau is still alive through all of this. And
Trapped like in a basement.
Yeah, so, and she's like, I'm gonna kill Moreau.
I love that. Like, we're just gonna let him die on his own.
Nope. She's like, I'm gonna finish
He's
it.
Not
only the
Lila.
high necromancer that's been alive for forever.
I
We'll
feel
just
like-
let him fade out.
I feel
you
like
know?
that was poetic justice with Lila being the one to go in.
When she like
And,
dragged his corpse out, I was like, "Get it, girl." Do
Yeah,
it.
I was really
I
pleased.
have, I had, throughout the story, Lila kind of does this for me, right? Like, there's points where she's like, she identifies with Helena, she understands. I got irritated when she's also a Vivimancer, and at no point does she, like, help Helena, defend her, do anything. And then I'm, like, kind of irritated at her. I understand, but also am irritated at her with being irritated with Cain and all of these things. But then, like, I do like her at the end because she's like, she gets Helena to help her make bombs, and she gets Cain to train her.
She's like, "I got this."
And Cain has been training his whole life to, like, that whole time to kill Moreau. And so he has it planned. That was really, really cool to read about. So she wants to go back. She wants to kill Moreau. She leaves Pole with Helena to raise the rest of the time. And Helena is compiling information on her bombs, perfecting it now because she has the time to do that and the resources to do that she didn't have before. And she trains with Cain. Meanwhile, Helena realizes how soft Cain was on her in all of the training because he's not soft with Lila. He's just like training this girl to kill Moreau. He doesn't care about her that much like he did Helena. So he doesn't care about hurting her. And he basically is described as beating the weakness out of her.
Helena's like, suddenly I feel like I'm not as strong as maybe I thought I was. Back
And
in
then-
the day.
Lila encourages Helena to put her name on the research about the bombs, which Helena refuses because she says she doesn't want anybody looking too hard into her or her past or what happened
Which
to
is
her.
smart.
It is smart. I mean, they're trying to hide away. They don't ever want to be caught. And I think, again, she's protecting Kane. Because at this point, she's probably okay. She's probably safe. But Kane...
She'd have been welcomed back with open arms, honestly, probably.
Yeah. But Kane will never be safe. There's no recovering Kane, even with what he did and all the things he sacrificed. So when Paul realizes that his mom is leaving, he's pretty upset and distraught. So they end up getting him a puppy. This little, like, white... I envisioned it as a shepherd. I don't know.
Cobalt!
But they named it Cobalt. Lila goes back. She kills Moreau. She's hailed as a hero. And then a year and a half later, she comes back and she retrieves Pol and takes him to Palladia, which makes Enid really, really upset. And Pol leaves Cobalt with Enid to try to, like, smooth that over because they've gotten really attached. Lila says they're going to rebuild the Alchemy Institute and that there's never going to be another Principate. So Apollo or Pol will never be like a Principate. Lila attempts to convince Helena to come with her when they go back and to come run the Vivimancy department, but she refuses to leave Kane and Enid behind. And then on page 1008, Helena
Says stuff.
says stuff.
1008. Helena responds with, "Love isn't as pretty or pure as people like to think. There's a darkness in it sometimes. Cain and I go hand in hand. I made him who he is. I knew what that array meant when I saved him. If he's a monster, then I'm his creator."
She's Dr. Frankenstein.
Yeah.
So then we go into chapter 78, which is our final chapter before the epilogue. Chapter
Also 4
78.
years later.
Yeah, chapter 78 bounces 4 years later, and it also ends up bouncing 10 years later. So, in 4 years later, you kind of get that the island has accepted, and both, I did enjoy that the island accepted and protected all of them as just these, like, strange residents.
These are
that
our
they had.
creepy neighbors that, like, send us medicine.
Yeah, and Helena is really playing into that because she's helping them as well, doing the things that she loves. She's foraging, she's making medicines, she's making, different things, and she's sending them into town. Meanwhile, Enid's getting old enough, she's noticing things, and she's being a toddler. She's asking about, why do you have holes in your wrists? And Helena doesn't want to lie to her. And so she's kind of telling her the truth as much as she can handle at that age. And she tells Kane that she's telling Enid the truth a little bit. But Helena finds a paper reporting Stroud has been found dead after Hevgos took her in and gave her immunity in exchange for all her research. And Helena, being smart and clever, has pieced it together and knows that Kane killed her. And Helena is pissed because after everything he's already sacrificed and everything he's done, and she's like, I have you now. Like, we're safe. We're free. You don't have to give anymore. You didn't have to do this. But also, she's so happy that Stroud is dead. She just didn't want Kane to have to be the one to do it. So, and then it jumps ahead 10 years later with Kane and Helena saying goodbye as Enid sails off to Palladia. But you get to see them together and they're happy and they're safe. And it was just a really sweet moment between the two of them because their life...
becoming little empty nesters.
They are, and they're free, and they have each other, which is what they always wanted. And then you go into the epilogue, and...
They're married. Lord have mercy. Babies have grown up. They're looking at stiff things.
So
Oh,
Enid arrives at Palladia, and she's reunited with Lila and Pol. Enid goes to a bookstore, and she finds a book on the war. The clerk, you find out, is one of the repopulation babies, which I like that little
I like that
kind of
too.
inclusion in there. And Pol runs into her and tells her not to read it, that they never got it right, And only they know the actual truth of what happened. And Enid admits that while her parents always tried to tell her the truth, she felt like she could never really talk to him about it because her dad, or Cain, always would look at her as they would tell her stuff like she would hate them, or hate him at least, forever for what his part was in everything. And then her mom Helena always had to take heart pills every time she talked about anything and would try to hide
Bless
it,
her
of
heart.
course. And she's glad that she can talk to Lila and Pole because she can be herself and she can, tell them about all the realities and talk to them about it because they are the only other ones that know. And Pole tells her that she will always have him. And he kind of like goes in for a kiss. There's a little tension there.
His eyes darkened. They darkened. I'm like, weren't you just like 4 years old like a minute ago? But okay.
But they were very attached to each other.
I know. They're just growing up.
But we do not want an Alchemised 2.
No.
No. We want
No.
happy.
But they're going to be happy together. That's what we're choosing.
Well,
I
we
read
don't want an
the-
Alchemised 2.
I read anyway, go ahead.
But they end up getting interrupted. The bell rings to the shop or whatever. And so they leave to go back to the house together to talk more. And she ends up leaving the book behind, and it's open to the page that she was on, which was the picture of Soren, Luke, and Helena together way back when we talked about it, where they're at the solstice party and they got the picture taken of them, and we told you don't forget this picture. And the little information thing about it is that she was a non-active member of the Order of the Eternal Flame and did not fight, which was the exact same ending we got in Manacled, which made us all devastated and want to throw the book across the wall, but also made it stick with us probably forever. Because you can't tell me that girl did not fight her entire life and she was done wrong by the history books.
But, they also, you feel bad for Cain, too, because it was all like, the High Reeve.
He's the
all
bad
these
guy.
terrible
And,
things.
yeah.
He's the villain.
And he really was just in a bad spot, Like,
just
what
a
do you
guy
do?
that loved too much. Loved his mama.
Oh, well.
So star rating for Alchemised.
5 for me. It'll be one of my top 5 of the year for sure. Probably it'll go into my top
This
5 of
is
all time.
not a book I would recommend. It's pretty dark. It would be very select few people that I would recommend it to. It's heavy. You need to be in a space. And for every DNF,
I wasn't super in the space
No,
here
you
right
weren't.
at the end, I'm going to be honest with you.
and I read some of the reviews just to kind of be like, what are people thinking about it? Because, I hate it, but I love it kind of thing. And I get it. I do not fault those people that DNF'd. I do not fault those people that were like, I just can't. Because, you got to do what's right for you, for your head and your means and your, yourself. But I really enjoyed the plot. I enjoyed, even though there's tons of suffering, I enjoyed the imagery.
It was it was just very beautifully written.
I know there are people that were like, oh, the writing was bad, but I did not get that vibe.
I don't see how anyone
I
can
don't
say
know
that. I'm like, do you just not like good
I
writing?
guess it's opinionated.
I mean, like-
I did not see where that was bad writing. I have read.
I'm like,
bad writing.
tell me what good writing is. No.
Yeah, but it's what I really like is the reasons why it sticks with you. It makes you question the politics. It makes you question, your religious beliefs. Because even though this is fictional and you're reading it, there's a lot that can tie into real time stuff, and it gets you thinking. And I like that. I like that it gets the brain juices flowing. So.
Maybe some people don't like a third person POV, and this is third person, so maybe some people didn't like it because of that,
But,
as far
yeah.
as the writing is concerned. But I don't. I
but,
like
you
it.
know,
It was on. It was limited third.
But I get it.
don't
If you
really
DNF'd it, if you couldn't hang on, if you're like, I hate this book, I understand. But for me, it's a 5.
I could see where it could be very
It's a 5 for
triggering
me. Yeah.
or emotionally devastating enough where you don't want to finish.
And check your.
I can
trigger.
even see where if you're not used to this heavy, because it's a crossover between a lot of different
It's also high
genres.
fantasy.
And I could see where you could get stuck on all of the issues, the world building, whatever, and get kind of lost in it. It is a slower read. I do feel like, despite all of the things that are happening, despite the romance that's moving along, despite everything that's happening in the war, It is a slow read because you need to feel stuck in it. You need to feel stuck in the war. You need to feel like there's no end. I think that's part of it. But if you're stuck in that and you can't get out of it, I could see DNFing it. For me, a 5-star, top 5 read of all time. I think in 20 years it'll be considered a classic. Probably a controversial opinion. And I could be completely off base and I could be completely wrong, but I do feel like this could be like the withering heights of the future.
I am wondering how they're going to do the movie. I feel like if they do the movie right, it's going to be like a Twilight thing where we have so many people that didn't read it and then they watch it and they'll be like, oh my gosh, blown up. It's huge.
And it's going to have to, well, I thought it's going to have to be at least a trilogy.
I feel like it needs to be.
Yeah.
But the movie will be interesting because I don't
It's
know
like
how they're going
movie
to...
per part.
It's one of the few books I don't reread a lot of books. It's very rare that I reread books. It's one of the few books I will reread. I think every time I reread it, I'll get something different out of it. And I think I'll probably cry every time.
I cried when Paul had to leave and it was all sad.
I was all about Amaris. I was like, she's okay. And that
I
was it.
can't count the number of times that I was upset in this book.
I feel like I stayed upset over
Well,
Luke.
I felt very okay. I will say this because we haven't talked. So Manacle. If you've read Manacle, I feel like you're prepared for this book.
Yes.
You
I
are
think
prepared.
I will say I thank God I read Manacled before this. I can't imagine going into this blind.
Oh, yeah.
That's fair. There were some twists though.
Yeah, some differences.
There was some differences. There was some twists. They did amazing. That's like all I can say. They did amazing.
It was very good. All right.
All right.
Next
So what are we reading?
Is it okay? I brought them both. What are we reading, y'all?
Riftborn. I already ordered it.
Okay. So, for our listeners, Zended has been kind of blowing up on social media, and we've been really excited to read it. But the same authors wrote Riftborn, and then whatever comes after Riftborn.
We used to know it.
Isn't it? It doesn't start with a D.
Yes, it does start with a D. I don't know what that book is.
I got it.
Okay, good, because it's not in my book.
Duskbound.
Yes, so Riftborn and Dustbound is a duology, and it comes before Ascended.
So are we doing? It's 13. So is that 13 chapters?
Yeah, we'll do chapters. So we're going to do Riftborn, chapters 1 through 13 for our first episode,
Okay.
Yeah.
which we will cover next week.
All right.
And we hope everybody enjoyed Alchemised. We hope you cried just a little bit. And we will see you all next week for Riftborn. And see everybody then.
Bye.